Is out of the tube now, and we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock, Tuesday, February 10th. Just a 4-game slate tonight, each game locking at its own time. A Lakers team that does not resemble a typical Lakers team, and a lot of ownership coming into places that we will talk about, and we're going to have plenty of time to break it all down. If we don't talk about somebody over the next hour, I don't want to say that they're not going to be relevant tonight, because I know that the moment I do, we're going to get, who can I scroll to the bottom and find that just stinks?
Bronny James.
Trey Jamison. Yo, Bronny James. Optimal lineup tonight, if I say that. So I won't say it. I'll just say this. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter at Josh Engleman and right here at Eric Lindquist. What's up, buddy?
Not much. Ready to rock with this one. Hopefully we get more cerebral super chats talking about, which level of modules I'm going through, a player module to team module. I don't know. I've been thinking about that for a while. I was just like, I just kind of do whatever my AI tells me to a certain extent. And then we have the best Sims tool you could possibly have in the DFS space. So how you go about things is you click simulate. That's probably the answer I was looking for yesterday, but I've been thinking about that super chat for like 24 hours because I was like, man, there are a lot of smart people in the world.
Switch your mic.
There we go. Oh.
Muted.
I heard an echo before, so I wanted to make sure that I disconnected and put it back, but then it obviously didn't pick up. So anywho, the whole point being a lot of smart people in the world, Josh Engleman being one of them, went through your rotations today, your rotations blessing that you've bestowed upon us, because we got some Lakers bullshit going, but we also have some indie bullshit now, and I really don't like it. I'm playing one lineup tonight, and I'm not typically like a one entry guy. I'm usually at least playing 40, where I like to play the 20 max stuff, and then whatever else I kind of am feeling on that given day, which is just a mixed bag. But you're playing the 150, so I'm excited to hear a lot of your stuff, because I'm playing one lineup. I kind of know what direction I'm going to be going, but there is some kerfuffery going on with 3 Lakers that are not who you would expect at the top of the optimal percentages for us today.
Yeah, I think we probably need to just start with the Lakers. That has to be the talking point. Now, the best part of this is that this is the last game. So overloading this game doesn't hurt my feelings at all. I want to have more than less, and I want to be tactical about where I get early to start. Yeah. If you have not been paying attention, here are the 4 main people out for the Lakers today. Marcus Smart, I'm starting from the bottom. Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Luka Doncic. That is leaving us 3 men, 50% owned. Jake LaRavia, Kobe Buffkin, and Rui Hachimura. We've got 40% ownership coming to Jared Vanderbilt. We've got 30% ownership coming to Luke Kennard. We have close to 20% ownership coming to a DeAndre Ayton, who is questionable at this moment. And then it falls off, which I also think is very interesting. Let's start with the 50%ers. Anybody in that list you're not worried about?
I'm not worried that much about LaRavia, and I'm not that worried about... Okay, I want to cite this at least. So if you go to January 16th, we look at the Portland game. That's where we had just LeBron and then all of the goobers, and that's where the Kobe Buffkin thing comes from. If you're trying to cite why it is that we're going to Kobe Buffkin, why he's the one getting it instead of like a Nick Smith Jr. in some crazy type of way, Nick Smith Jr. just hasn't gotten up to that threshold. He's been out of the rotation basically entirely, even in blowout runs going back to the 7th of January would have been the last time that you really saw him there. But you go to the 16th with Buffkin, and the fact that Nick Smith Jr. got ripped off the floor immediately, and it's just kind of been cleanup duty there, that kind of is the reason that we're going that direction with things. So I will still say Kobe Buffkin's my least confident of the 3, purely because he's not in the starting unit. And I think there are other ways that this can go for us, away from us. We could get a random starting unit, but without a doubt, you say Jake LaRavia, Rui Hachimura, and Kobe Buffkin, and one of those does not sound like the other ones, and yet one is the most optimal of the other three because they're a 3K guard who's a good fantasy performer. So I really think it's probably one of the more uncomfortable situations we've got. It's probably one that I'll play with this specifically a little bit, hit and miss. Like, I'm not going to say it's a non-zero chance that you get a Nick Smith Jr. or a Bronny James start. I traditionally like Nick Smith Jr. from his Charlotte days and being a good fantasy performer. I'm just more familiar with what he's done. His body of work is just something that I'm a little bit more familiar with going through Basketball Reference. But don't do that. But we got ourselves Kobe Buffkin being the most optimal player on this team that cannot feel good. And if you think that feels good off the bench, you're probably sadly mistaken. So it's going to be really kind of like, hey, do I play both of them? Do I play three guys? Do I play four of these 3K guys and try to like jam in the Wemby, jam in the Brunson, jam in the Cat, jam in the Şengün, Durant? Like, what is it that you're really trying to accomplish? This is as stars of a scrub as we ran into in forever. And as such, you probably can make a case for all of them, but LaRavia and Hachimura, because I know in 90% of scenarios they're going to start, I feel far more confident in those two.
I feel more confident in those two as well. I agree. I'm also more familiar with Nick Smith's body of work from his time in Charlotte. His body in that case is more of like Fat Bastard's body of work, but it is a body of work. It's just one of the worst bodies that you could possibly find. The problem here is I find him fascinating today at the flat min with the MPE.
Yep.
Same price as Buffkin. Yep. There's a 0% chance to me that Kobe Buffkin is 61-1 or whatever in optimal rate. So call it 61-2. Whatever. We're not that confident in the minutes of these guys. And I want to play with that at least a little bit, crank up the variance a little bit here. Like Dalton Connect. If you told me he played 28 minutes tonight, I'd be like, well, I get, sure. Okay. I could see it. Like LaRavia, Hachimura, Vandy to a degree, especially if Ayton ends up out. These three dudes, I'm pretty confident, are just going to be out there in any sort of competitive game. That's the size they're looking for. They need wings just in general. If we're going to talk about that backcourt, I'm definitely not 52-2 ownership Kobe Buffkin to Nick Smith or Dalton Connect.
Yeah, I'm not either, but I'm saying that like I keep thinking about in one lineup, this is the kind of thing you're able to do. Like, do I want to play both? Like, do I want to just roll it out with both where you get 20 minutes out of both? You feel like you kind of won to some extent, depending on how everything else performs within that lineup. Like, obviously, I want a lot more than 20 minutes for each of them. That would be ideal. Right now, we're projecting 21 and change to Buffkin. We're projecting 13 and change to Nick Smith Jr. And I also think that can be very, very variant. I'm not confident in anything about these other guys, but they're so important because, of course, both of them are good fantasy performers. Plus, how are the Lakers going to generate offense? Like, who's going to actually create fucking offense for this basketball team today? I think your most likely guy, obviously Luke Kennard having gotten acquired, but do they really want to push him here in a spot that they could be down 15 in the blink of an eye? He just got acquired, played yesterday. It feels as though Luke Kennard probably is interesting. Jared Vanderbilt, I keep looking at his 9.5 rebounds plus assists. I think he's going to have to do something, but we know DeAndre Ayton is not that guy. Jake LaRavia is really not that guy for what I was expecting. I thought Jake LaRavia with some of these guys off the floor would look okay. His assist numbers are just pitiful. One of the best props that we've got over on the Stokastic prop right now, the prop tool. So I don't see how they generate offense, and that's where I just think both of them can end up being required to play, like a 22-22 type split, something like that, and then 4 minutes of who gives the shit if they're down $1 million.
I do want to add this right now. Two caveats to all of this. One, it is the last game, so realistically, it matters not whether. I mean, you're probably better off using. It doesn't matter which one you use. They're both flat 3K. None of what we're saying here is to invalidate Kobe Buffkin. On the surface right now, as we have it, he's one of the best plays on the slate. This is not me trying to be like, I should have 60% of Nick Smith and 0% of Kobe Buffkin. Now, should still have a bundle of Buffkin, one of the most efficient plays, if not the most efficient plays you can get to. Just posing the, if you don't have Buffkin in a lineup type scenarios, what's the path? I think it's to some of these other guys on the Lakers.
Correct. That's perfectly said. That's basically what I've been trying to say. You set it up for me where it's like, hey, LaRavia, Hachimura, Buffkin, amongst the guys who are the most popular here.
Yeah.
How do you feel? I don't feel great about Buffkin because I don't know how you could. It's an outlier name. It's an outlier situation. He's appeared in 4 games for the Lakers all season long. And, obviously I do think Nick Smith Jr., 1-for-1, probably the better player. Like, again, none of this even matters to some extent. They're both just guys who are available, and I don't assume either one starts, and I don't think JJ Redick gives a shit who he gives the minutes to. And that's what's really terrifying is that, like, we're making a projection, we're making the educated guess who gets the most based off of information we got from, just the previous couple of games, and then also just Buffkin played like an entire second half of basketball in that Portland game. He showed up at like the 6:42 mark of the third quarter, and he closed the game. If they're down 20 plus, Buffkin played way more than Nick Smith Jr. it looks like. But if this game stays, 10-15 for most of it, I think Nick Smith Jr. has a path to potentially being that guy at 2% who wins you a lot of money. I don't think it'll be 2% for what it's worth, because I don't think people are that dumb to just say, we're going to play 60% to, 2% necessarily, or 50 and change percent to 2%. But if it's like 40-10, that's still a pretty large stance on something that I think is very highly variable.
You want to talk through DeAndre Ayton right now? 5,700, pulling a little bit of ownership. Certainly can take whatever shot he wants to out there. He finds himself to be an offensive monster. Is this a game that you want to have a bunch of DeAndre Ayton? Or the follow-up question, do you just want to stash some ownership on DeAndre Ayton if we don't have the news that he is out, with the goal of getting to, in this case, Jackson Hayes?
I currently have Ayton in the lineup, mainly because it's got other starters on the Lakers, where I'm not hoping this game stays close. So somebody's holding a San Antonio -7.5 ticket from last night, where I was just like, hi, this is not making sense to me. I don't think Austin Reeves plays on any planet. And I'm pretty sure LeBron James, this sets up for them to rest, wanting to win Thursday against Dallas. And obviously Luka, if he's going to return against a team before the All-Star game or before the All-Star break, probably going to be against the Dallas Mavericks at home here. So definitely something to look forward to for Thursday for that slate. But I like stashing ownership. I like playing Ayton. I like getting to him right now. I think Ayton is not somebody, again, we just talked about him not generating offense, but I think he's probably your go-to scorer, in a lot of different scenarios. We have a higher points prop on LaRavia. He's probably also the first person who gets ripped off the floor, but I like some of these lineups I've got with Wemby. I like some of the lineups going to, Şengün, Wemby. We're stars and scrubbing the shit out of this. So if you're making one lineup of a guy who's going to be 10-12%, and we don't have that news before these other games lock, going up to 9 p.m. Eastern time, Dallas, Phoenix, that's like your cutoff point. There's not a lot of people who want to get left holding the bag playing DeAndre Ayton. And if you've got 3-4 lineup spots, it's probably not that hard to get out of it and maneuver into some Hayes and maneuver into something else. But right now I'm entertaining the idea of playing Ayton, and it's terrifying, but he's probably the one Laker who gets squeezed, and we know he's going to start if he plays.
Walker out for the Pacers. Micah Potter in. It's hard to say if they've evaluated all of their injuries at this point, because they basically listed the entire team questionable. So Potter in. I saw McConnell in earlier. I haven't seen anything yet on most of the G League idiots, but Jarris Walker officially out for the Pacers at this point.
Kobe Brown in. Yeah, we already had him in, but Micah Potter in. Yeah, Quentin Jackson. This is just wild. This is a wild slate. Plus, the other part about the Lakers and why it is you're talking about the backloading, we're going to want information. We're going to want to know what your lineup looks like. And you're going to be able to maneuver into some very low owned, high opportunity things in the Lakers scenario based on early pieces, how they do. And, the amount of Kobe Buffkin you have can probably be evaluated based on how your chalk does earlier in the slate.
So we obviously have a bunch of value that we're backloading with the Lakers. And we've got some other spots with value today too. That's leading us to this picture where we only have one guy at 10K or higher, and it's Kawhi Leonard sticking the landing at 10K. He's already 35% owned. Wemby at 9,700 is 40% owned against this makeshift Lakers team. Şengün's up to 20. He was much lower earlier today, which I was very interested in seeing. Even Durant's at 7. But Brunson, Cooper Flag, 25, 35. We're already jamming the top of this table in pay-up options. So what do you see at the top that's most interesting to you? Because this is different than what we've been seeing as of late. They've already flooded the top of this. The only thing that's not getting real ownership, it's Houston. It's Houston, and then everybody else is owned. What do we do here?
All right. First thing, Kawhi Leonard is your king of the court leader, I suppose, 39.5. Yeah. When you're just talking about what the slate looks like here, you've got Victor Wembanyama and Kawhi that are kind of not blowing it completely out of the water, but 5 fantasy points higher than just about everybody else on the entire slate. And that kind of makes them the obvious targets. They're also the most owned. And I think the Wemby one just makes a ton of sense. I get a little bit worried just because they play Golden State tomorrow and there's a chance that you get something removed. But we have the 8 piece. We have 8 other guys to potentially play on the Lakers. We're going to be able to swap in and out of anything that we want there. If there's some random piece of news and then Luke Cornett becomes the guy that you potentially go to, or, a million different Spurs you'd want to play if they just randomly sat Wemby, which I think there's a 5% chance of, but that's neither here nor there. Kawhi Leonard is the priority for me. He's at small forward, which doesn't matter as much today. You have Jake LaRavia, we've got Rui Hachimura, but talked about the Lakers. There's a ton of blowout potential that exists in this game, as is too. And if you're just telling me randomly, if I'm looking at the market, if I'm using props, assuming that we have, that's the market-based approach, really just looking at props and saying, hey, every book is evaluating this at 39.5 for Kawhi. He looks fantastic. And it's a much more competitive game environment than we're projecting for San Antonio. LA, it's a position that traditionally is hard to fill. At least today, it's, looking much better than it's looked at other times over the course of this season. I'm going to play, some combination of those Lakers guys, but no matter what, I want that early Kawhi information so that I can kind of inform what I'm going to do with Wemby. So I can kind of inform with what else I'm going to go to. So Kawhi Leonard, he was the first guy that I put into my lineup. He was the one early piece that I'm I'm not living this slate without knowing how Kawhi did. And as such, he's got positive leverage. If a third of the field is going to play him, I'm more than happy in single entry tournaments, which is all I'm playing today. One lineup in the main, I'm playing Kawhi Leonard and moving on with my life.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit more than the field of Kawhi. I don't really. The only downside here is the game environment. This game has a significantly lower total than the other 3, but that's it. I mean, he's the whole offense right now. There's nothing else around really. Mathurin here, but I'm pretty sure Kawhi is going to maintain his stranglehold of the ball for the 30 whatever minutes he ends up being on the floor. Yeah, it's a tough spot against Houston. No doubt about it. 10K, small forward, all the money in the world to spend. I guess my question just comes down to, if I'm not playing him, where am I going? Should I pay a little bit more attention to someone like Kevin Durant, who is $1,000 cheaper, same game, also gives you shooting guard eligibility, but there's a chasm between these two dudes in terms of per minute rates. We have a 17% boom score on Durant. It's 35 for Kawhi. I have a hard time thinking about it like that, but and not to mention, I think the Clippers defense is still set up pretty well, whether it's Kawhi picking up a defensive assignment. Derek Jones Jr. now is back picking up assignments. Chris Dunn is no slouch, might not have as much to do with Kevin Durant, but Brook Lopez still very real. At first I thought I wanted to get to some KD as the pivot to Kawhi, but I think all I see when I look at this is I just want more Kawhi.
Who do you think starts for the Clippers today?
Done. Derek
The
Jones
typical.
Jr.
Okay.
Yeah. Same as before.
Okay.
I mean, realistically, they probably should make a change.
Yep.
But
That's kind of what I'm getting at, is that like you go out, you hit eject on Zubats for, whatever reason, for, again, there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of stuff I'm sure going on behind the scenes with the Clippers. We've learned a lot about that this year, but
I think they're still good, but it all depends on if Darius Garland can get healthy.
Yeah, Darius Garland has to get healthy, and Mathurin has to provide the kind of playoff spark plug that he was for the Pacers. I mean, he definitely filled that role insanely well at times. Him and Aaron Nesmith, they were kind of, I won't say interchangeable because one's a lot better than the other, but Benedict Mathurin can be a spark plug. He can do some of those things that he did at Arizona, and then in his time at Indy, like, it's whatever. I don't think he's that good, but figuring out what you got with him right from the get-go and having him play alongside Dunn, Kawhi isn't the craziest thing in the entire world to me. I think he's the guy that everybody across the industry, including us, projects for the most minutes off the bench. And Matherin's somebody that's going to get run, I think, in this game as well. I don't think it's going to impact what we've got from Kawhi Leonard. I really, really don't. But I just at least want to kind of think through some of the scenarios there with the Clippers. And then for Houston, the main thing is like, all right, Alperen Şengün. Do I want to go to the Alperen Şengün side of things? Because I think he's a little bit more interesting to me at the moment than like, I think point guard with Cooper Flagg and available small forward, but probably would end up playing him at point based on what we've got. I don't think I want to play Brunson in the early game. It feels like locking it up a little bit too early. I know it's only a half an hour, probably doesn't do a whole hell of a lot, but like, I think that there's some interesting stuff that we can do at guard as the night goes on. And I'd prefer not to lock up Brunson, but like Alperen Şengün, just, you've been on this guy all season long, and we've seen, triple double upside, had it last game against OKC, ridiculous win for them there. And Alperen Şengün just feels like the more predictable piece. Like Kevin Durant, kind of a luxury item to some extent. There's nobody, Kawhi Leonard's as good of a two-way player as you'll ever find in basketball. I can't wait to watch this game, but like, I can't prioritize Kevin Durant on this specific slate in one lineup. In multiple lineups, I doubt I would even get, maybe 1-2 tops, absolute tippy tops in 20 max or something like that. But I can't roll out Kevin Durant today. It's going to basically be Alperen Şengün as another spend up early or pass and just wait on Wemby.
I feel the same way. We're on the same path. Although I do have probably a little bit more Brunson than you do.
Well, I have 0, so there's that. That's the nice part about one lineup is you have 0%. Whatever.
Yeah. Then I definitely have more than 0 of Jalen Brunson at this moment. Similar story for Cooper Flagg.
Like if that game stays healthy, like I like the Siakam Brunson kind of idea. I entertained it for a little while, and then I just want to hold on to the lineup spots. But I think if that game stays competitive, I really like that idea. I mean, Cat's got like, a 13.5 rebound prop today, which is just absurd. They don't have Zubats active, so it's basically Jay Huff. We've got a bunch of absolute nobodies behind it there. But like, if the game stays closer than we anticipate it to, I do think like a combo of the two of them, like the Cat plus Siakam or like Brunson plus Siakam is kind of interesting. Just, Brunson's at the point guard position, and you look at the rest of point guard, like, it's I would say like the weakest position we've got for the most part. Like Devin Booker's pulling the most ownership point guard, shooting guard. Jalen Brunson, both of those guys like basically 50%. And then it just falls off a cliff. And we don't know exactly what the Lakers are going to roll out there. Luke Kennard is everybody's assumption. He's my assumption as well. But like, it wouldn't shock me to see a Nick Smith Jr. or Kobe Buffkin just, complete punt of a game and then, lock it up till Thursday, especially with like actual rotation pieces. But there's not a ton else that I really like at the position. And so like, I like the idea of potentially going that direction, but I think it's a lot of risk with a Siakam where what the downside is at this point. Like the downside is he plays 28, 30 minutes because they're getting the doors blown off. And then you're just kind of left holding the bag at a position that you have to be exceptional with today. Like you can't miss on small forward, power forward with how many options we've got to Rolodex through, both on the cheap end and expensive end. So still, Kawhi, Şengün, those are kind of the two main ones I'm looking at, but Brunson, no doubt about it. If I were playing more lineups, I think he's interesting, but woof, absolutely woof.
We've got 2 super chats to hit here. FanDuel by position, back up again from KGDR24. Point guard, I've got up on the screen right now. Brunson is unequivocally in this conversation. He is point guard only. He's the second most owned, essentially tied for the most owned and most optimal. So he is the first choice at point guard because he has no alternative eligibility. Devin Booker is right there with him, although he's also going to be in the shooting guard conversation. Same for Steph Castle and Luke Kennard. We do have a giant positive leverage number on Kobe Buffkin on the FanDuel side, 42% optimal, 26% ownership. I kind of like to split the difference there, but either way, Buffkin does look like a value option. Do you want to point out anybody else at point guard or highlight anybody at the shooting guard spot right now?
By the way, I had my FanDuel stuff pulled up there as well. I'm playing one lineup on each site, FanDuel, one on DK. So the Brunson stuff that I was citing is primarily over there. You got Booker and Brunson. They're also the most popular guys not named Kobe Buffkin over on DK. So it's kind of irrelevant. But on FanDuel, once again, that's going to be Brunson, then Booker on the FanDuel side. So those are kind of the dudes. Insert whatever Laker ends up showing up at the min to potentially pull some kind of ownership there for it as well. But Booker kind of running away with the position there. Jordan Goodwin's popping big time as well. I find that one to be kind of interesting, absent Grayson Allen. Small forward, same kind of a deal. Jake LaRavia, Kawhi Leonard. And as we're moving along, it's like a lot of Kawhi. Like I can't play this slate without playing a ton of Kawhi just based on where the market's at on him. And then centers terrifying on FanDuel, like actually terrifying. More than likely would be Karl Anthony Towns, but I'm not playing him in one lineup today.
Yeah, Towns is certainly the most optimal option here. It's either Mark Williams or, potentially whatever you get from the Lakers if there's no Ayton. But Towns could certainly be in the power forward spot. We've eschewed the virtues of Kawhi Leonard already. Shooting guard is tough because after you get to Devin Booker, you mentioned Goodwin, but it's like 5 straight dudes of 30%-ish optimal, whether it's Castle, Kennard, Dylan Brooks, Mikal Bridges, Colin Gillespie, all those dudes looking pretty similar. Mikal Bridges actually most positive leverage that we have at that point. Bastian, Miller or Sanders out of the rotation with Mathurin? Neither. I don't believe.
Shout out Euros, baby. Euros, 249 Euros. That's spicy. Thank you so much. Neither of them are going to be out of the rotation. I put them substantially further down the pecking order. We've got them at 16 minutes, 12 minutes, and basically identical. And I just expect Mathurin to be the guy who plays more minutes off the bench now. Like that's really all it comes down to.
50 cents in euros right here.
Oh, look at you. We got props. We got fucking props on live before live.
Yeah,
today.
man.
What a time to be.
International currency all over the place.
Love.
I don't know. Yeah, they're not out of the rotation. We've got Miller in for 20 minutes. We've got Sanders in for close to 20 minutes.
Yep. Kind of what it is.
Yeah. And then we just got another one here. Who would get the most blowout run for the Spurs? Not something that I've thought about. Likely people that don't matter.
Yeah, so Dylan Harper.
They've got too many bodies.
But, okay, so the Dylan Harper thing's a little bit obnoxious to me. So I was looking at him for Pick'em. I was kind of trying to figure out what I really thought. I don't know if Dylan Harper plays in like 20-point blowouts playing again tomorrow. Like, I'm not sure. Like, they can just go to McLaughlin. They can go to like some other dudes where it's just way down.
They could run out a 5-man lineup of guys that won't play today if they really want to.
Yeah.
Olynyk, Biyombo, Sohan, McLaughlin, Carter Bryant. Those 5 guys can just go out there and close out a game if they want to.
100% agreed. And so I was staring at it and then it went from 16.5 to 17.5. So obviously there were some people who pulled the trigger on that. But I was definitely circling Dylan Harper. I was going through some of the box scores and I'm like, I don't even think this is relevant. Like this is before the All-Star break. They can play a bunch of these old school, like the very back end guys in a 20 a 20, 22-point game. This is not a typical like, oh, we need to get Dylan Harper some run doing whatever. You'd rather have Dylan Harper as like your sixth man coming in tomorrow, him and Keldon Johnson against Golden State. And, I can't imagine that they would be in there up 20-22 still in like the last 6 minutes. So, a bunch of people you don't want to roster is the right answer.
All righty. Austin, hit us with any Drew Timme run. I mean, he's going to be out there for sure. This is going to be big for whether or not DeAndre Ayton plays. Drew Timme is not in the cards whatsoever if Ayton plays.
Correct. And like,
if Ayton's out, we could have that conversation.
Yeah, there's an outside chance he could start. I mean, Jackson Hayes, not exactly the, again, I think I would assume it would be Jackson Hayes, but like Drew Timme is a good fantasy producer. If he ends up being the guy who's out there, $3K for him, going back to Gonzaga, college DFSers, and then in his brief NBA, his body of work, if you will, Josh Engleman, Drew Timme, he's built like a high school AP teacher. Shout out Drew Timme.
We've got a couple more super chats that have flown in here. Buffkin or Nick Smith Jr. There's no way to answer this. It's 100,000,000% the answer is Buffkin. But I find Nick Smith fascinating today, and I don't think the disparity between the two is correct. But if you were picking between them, it has to be Buffkin.
Correct. Nothing else to add.
Jason hit us with a very nice super chat. Not that they're all nice, but this one's nice as well. Just showing my appreciation for what you guys do. Thank you very much. Love
Not
to
even a
see
cat
it.
person, but I like that cat. That cat's having fun. They're living their lives.
Cat seems angry. I like that.
Yeah. Isaiah
It's
Stewart.
good
cat.
angry.
Yeah.
Single entry from Mr. Hill. DK, last guy in, Champagny or Johnson? I'm going to assume this is just like dueling Spurs.
Yeah. It's going to be just disturbing looking at either of them to some extent on this slate, but there's no way that I'm playing Julian Champagny or Keldon Johnson on this slate in one lineup. So I'll let you answer it.
It should be none of them. It's Keldon Johnson for me, just because he could grab a couple extra minutes and is a much better per minute guy.
Yep.
I would be looking elsewhere in general. I mean, like, I don't mind in theory, I don't mind holding that spot for how the Lakers shake out, I guess. Yeah, like even the guys in that rate, like Laravia's 4,600. There's nothing above those dudes on the Lakers that qualifies here. That's like kind of a no man's land. Yeah, it's Keldon Johnson if it's either one of them, but it's probably none of them.
Yep.
Huck Porty to replicate. Is that a date? Is that a February 3rd, 2026, 28 fantasy point performance? I don't think that's a slash line, right? I don't think he had 2 points, 3 assists, and 26 boards. That seems like a outlandish. It would also be more than that in fantasy points, unless he had just an ungodly amount of turnovers.
He had 5 fouls too. Shout out Huck Porty there, getting work in and getting to hack people Stewart style. But 22 minutes, 12, 9, and 1. It's a weird way of.
I mean, we have him unowned and for 13 fantasy points today.
You can't look at Ariel Huck Porty and click on it and feel remotely good about your life. So congratulations, Tim, on another 28 fantasy point performance.
All right, let's see. I assume we're going to get an update, if it hasn't already hit, imminently. So I'll just say to you guys, 1, hit the like button if you haven't done it yet. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Notification bell helps out a ton. We're not done when this show is over. We've got 25 more minutes to go. We're going to look through everything once we get an update. We're going to hit you guys with what we actually have in after we start to see where this is going. But Greg Ehrenberg is going to be coming up next after this one, breaking down any late swaps you guys got to make, which certainly could exist. There's a lot of news potential still to come. Landry Shamet will start for the injured OG Anunoby. Greg's going to have to take a look through the prop tool as well. Look for some good bets for the rest of the night. And again, I'm guessing we're going to see some things popping up. We're going to see a lot of lines moving around because we've got a lot of ambiguity for the rest of the night. So if you want to sign up for the prop tool, you can do that right now with the link in the description. Get yourself ready for when Greg is here in 24 minutes. What's this one about to be? Nemhard, Jackson, Neesmith, Siakam, Potter for the Pacers. All right. That's definitely a lineup for the Pacers. Considering we had Ben Shepherd and Jay Huff, they zagged. So, Micah Potter, 3,500, power forward center eligible. Not the best per minute dude in the world, but decent enough eligibility. We had him in for 21 minutes previously. Quentin Jackson, point guard, shooting guard eligible, 3,400. We had him in for 15 minutes. He is a 0.92 fantasy point per minute guy. Stands to reason Quentin Jackson's probably going to look a little bit better in this scenario. The Micah Potter one's going to scare the hell out of me. That's for sure.
Of course. Of course. Just unnecessary, not something we needed. God, I can't do it. I can't. I really can't. This is just so disturbing. What else do they have though behind him at power? This is such a disturbing, stupid lineup.
I'm moving all my stuff around right now just to see. Out of there. Adios, buddy. Let's get Ben Shepherd out of there. Adios, buddy. Jackson in. Potter in. Ethan Thompson and Talon Peter, by the way, both out. They are not going to be playing in this one. And I guess technically, Ivica Zubac's finally been ruled out today, even though we got that news quite a bit ago. They didn't make that change until right now. So they have 10 dudes.
Yep.
Nemhard, Jackson, Neesmith, Siakam, Potter as the starting lineup. Jay Huff, Ben Shepherd, TJ McConnell, Cam Jones, Kobe Brown rounding it out on the bench. All righty.
This is so gross. The thing about the Quentin Jackson thing is you've got Shepherd, McConnell, Jones. Everybody can fill out that position. Jay Huff, unplayable basically now, which is insane. But I guess we've seen him off the bench still go completely nuclear, and there's times that he'll just knock down a bunch of threes against a second unit anyway. But I don't understand what I'm looking at. Why is Micah Potter starting? Why is Ben Shepherd just not a? I just was hoping it was Ben Shepherd because I never would roster Ben Shepherd in a million years, and just would feel better having that blank idiot just there. But
I have a question for you. Before we get an update, who's a better play right now? Kobe Buffkin or Quentin Jackson?
Oh, Quentin Jackson.
Feels like that's probably going to be the case, right?
I hope so. I didn't want to play anything early. I really, really, really did not. But here we are. And I'm just kind of slowly bringing his minutes up. 20. Yeah, I'm going to play Quentin Jackson. I'm going to have Quentin Jackson in one lineup. He's going to be crazy.
We had Kobe Buffkin at 21 minutes and change at a fantasy point per minute, 7.1x value, 50% owned, 60% optimal. Now, Quentin Jackson's a couple $100 more expensive, but he also carries an MPE, which I think basically pays for that. Anything in that neighborhood of minutes will be slightly behind him. He'll be 6.7-ish value, maybe 30, 40, 50% owned, something in that neighborhood. That changed up the game a little bit here.
So one of the cool
and then we still have Nick Smith being a random weirdo.
So one of the cool things you can do in the prop tool too is when news like this drops, you're able to go in and change the rates. You're able to go in and change the minutes. It is scary what happens if you utilize the prop tool right now and you click on Quentin Jackson and you put 25 minutes in for him. I don't know what to tell you other than I'm playing this guy. It just kind of comes down to Like just how insane.
There's a
this is.
non-zero chance I don't get logged in right now. I've been having a time of it. I've crossed myself up between
25 minutes?
Osmo email addresses and Stokastic email addresses,
That's always fun.
and I'm in a bad spot.
Oh, you're okay.
It's my own
I put
fault.
him in for 25 minutes. I put him in for 25 minutes, and that's going to put him at 12, 3.5, and 2.5. A little bit more, 2.7. Quentin Jackson looks fantastic. If you just change his rates there blankly, obviously there's going to be stuff we do on the back end that you're just going to want to refresh those. That's the other nice thing about the props tools. You're able to just go reset minutes and rates as soon as we get the update in. So you're able to make the adjustments, try to take advantage of it as soon as that news drops based on your basketball knowledge. And then you're able to apply it based off our projections and our rates that we're going to have for that starting unit and those bench units. So shout out Rich, I think is on projections today. It's Tuesday, so it should be Rich, I think. But you're getting the best of the best, updating everything in real time. A guy who's had multiple 100K wins already in this NBA season. I think he ended up, did he end up chopping the Super Bowl? I saw him up top with like a minute or two left. I'm not sure if that ended up happening as well, but
I don't remember seeing it in Slack, and I feel like we would have. But if he did, I hope he did.
Yeah, never mind. Is Greg still around? Unfortunately, yes. He'll be up after this talking.
We've been trying to get rid of him, but it's become incredibly hard.
Third, I'm sorry, Rich. I'm the worst. Oh, poor guy. Sorry about your.
By the way, I got Quentin Jackson is my number 2 value, about 0.4 fantasy points per minute or per thousand behind him. He looks great.
I'm playing him. Yeah, there's no way I'm not.
Ooh, projections hit 7-11, which means ownership is going to be right behind, and we will actually be able to take a look at that. But we can look at the projections right now and see Micah Potter got 26 minutes, 5.9x value. That is now the 4th best value of the slate. Quentin Jackson is our 5th best value behind Jared Vanderbilt, Jake LaRavia, and Kobe Buffkin. How you feeling there?
Not good. Not great.
No?
We're lower. I mean, I took the minutes. I put them up to 24 and change. Like, I think there's a lot more ways that Quentin Jackson plays more than 22 minutes than less than 22 minutes. It would be...
I went to 23 immediately, so I feel pretty good about where we landed.
Okay.
And then I ended up giving Micah Potter an extra minute personally to bring that back in line. So I'm pretty happy with where we're at here.
If you had to play one in one lineup, which one would you be going the direction of now? That's my question. And I'm sure a lot of people, I'm playing it more like most people, I think, in chat, where I'm playing one lineup today. I'm focused on one. There are 14 NBA games tomorrow. I've been working on the NBA for like 3 hours, but for tomorrow, as of this afternoon when I got back home. So I'm just trying to just sweat one lineup the rest of the way.
Here it is. Ownership updated. Jake LaRavia, 60. Karl Anthony Towns, 50. Rui Hachimura, 45. Kobe Buffkin, 45. The new men on the table here. Michael Potter, 35. We've got his optimal at 30%. Quentin Jackson, 25. Quite a bit lower.
Wow.
Yeah. I like Quentin Jackson there a little bit more than that. Yeah, not that he's great, but look, the only downside here is locking it in early.
Yeah. I feel like Micah Potter has to play a lot no matter what. Right? That's the other part of this. Again, trying to play devil's advocate.
Until he doesn't. I don't disagree with you. It feels like he's going to, but I think it only feels like he's going to until he doesn't.
Yeah, and they just go like 24-24 with Huff under all circumstances. Yeah. That would
Or who's the other idiot that's there that can approximate a center today?
Brown.
That sounds right.
Brown, the Clippers dude.
That sounds right.
Yeah, he fucking sucks. Oh my God. He was just thrown in as like a party prize in that deal. It was just absurd.
Well, you might think he sucks, but that's not really important. We want to know who you think is really good. We usually call it the nuke of the night. Nuke of the nighttime, 15-minute warning as we head up to lock. but I want to know who is the guy that is your nuke of the night, because we did pretty well yesterday. Nickeil Alexander-Walker had a 50 fantasy point day. We've got shouted out with somebody using both of our nukes and winning a contest.
That feels good.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Obviously, I didn't want to have a quarter of my lineups with Julian Strother, but that is such is life, and it worked out okay. I would have had way more in the event that Julian Strother ended up being the guy there, but that was yesterday's nuke. It's nuke of the night. Tonight's, there are so many ways that we can go, and I feel as though just because people are playing King of the Court, he's the chalk. I think he's a really good play as the highest PRA guy. And I think just small forward, he might end up lower than he should be. We've seen the optimal percentage right around 40%. He's 33%. I don't want to go crazy. I'm playing one lineup tonight, and it just is what it is. Kawhi Leonard, I would not play this slate against Houston without Kawhi Leonard. There's just no slate where I'm not taking him specifically. There's some weird kerfufflery. I can play him and Wemby. I'll make it a tandem nuke. Kawhi Leonard, Victor Wembanyama are absolutely optimal tonight. I'm co-nuking Kawhi Leonard and Victor Wembanyama.
That's docking, brother.
No, this is tip to tip. This is Greg and I, because he just came in the room at the same time.
That's docking. That's docking.
Oh, okay. But is that different than soaking?
Yeah, docking is where you both enter someone's foreskin. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, I was about to say you can't take Kawhi Leonard as a nuke of the night. That's like taking Aaron Judge to hit a dong court.
No, it's not. There was one time that I took Luka Doncic when he was like 35%. I just said play 100% Luka Doncic. He put up 78 against the Bulls. So.
Sure. Yeah. There was one time where I played no Luka Doncic and he put up 100.
I remember that day. It was a legendary. You and I were on live before lock, and I had a golf tournament the next day, and all we kept talking about in DMs was just like, remember that time that I said I'm full fading Luka Doncic and he put up 100? That was, honestly, you were such a good sport about it. And I think you had a lot of volume that day. I still feel
that wasn't great.
One of the funniest memories I've ever had in DFS was doing that show after the fact with you.
So ultimately, you redeemed yourself. The dual Kawhi Wemby nuke is a fantastic nuke. Great job.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
I assume that when I actually look at the lineups that I'm about to select, that Quentin Jackson is going to play a very pivotal role. I don't want to take him just yet because my stuff hasn't refreshed, but it's working on it. That's for sure. We do have a little bit of positive leverage on TJ McConnell right now, which I find scary. Our highest leverage play right now is Jared Vanderbilt. Towns is up there. Bufkin is actually up there. Your boy Kawhi is fourth, with TJ McConnell coming in fifth. I do find Pascal Siakam being sixth a little interesting. We talked about him a bit earlier today. Okay, I've got my stuff here. Let me favorite my lineups, and then I will know for sure who the nuke of the night is. We got there yesterday with Nickeil Alexander. Whoa, I almost got those words out. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. There we go. I tried.
Banger.
I tried to say words.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't. They didn't come out naturally.
Yeah, it's okay. It's hard to speak.
We got there. Words is hard sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Words is very hard.
You said foreskin very easily.
Well, I mean, some words you just know. You know?
They just get you excited. You can't wait.
I know my foreskins. It's a tough thing to say out loud, but I got to commit to the bit at this point, it feels like.
At least you didn't live, 70 years of your life before having your wife tell you? Patrick Stewart, by the way, not me, but Patrick Stewart finding out that he had never been circumcised, and he didn't know that he had never been circumcised his entire life. Just thought that was normal. True story. Google it.
He didn't know?
He had no clue.
He never saw another penis at any point, or did he think they just came like that?
He did not
know.
It's
just straight out of the box.
I swear to God, this is a true story.
I guess I believe you. By the way, Quentin Jackson 2x for me right now. He's in north of 40% of my lineups. Give me Quentin Jackson. Nuke of
Cool.
the night.
Yeah,
Cub
love it.
duly minted starter. We had a couple super chats as well.
Do it.
Bastion showed back up with some more euros. How about a nice 50-1 parlay? San Antonio minus 24.5. Connect 15, I assume, plus points. Bronny 10 plus points.
Yeah, you lost me at Bronny real quick. Also, you should be getting a lot better than plus 5,000 for anything that involves Bronny scoring a basketball. I'm just going to throw that out there. Bronny scoring a basketball it takes a lot of work. So you're asking for so many things to happen there that are more than plus 5,000. I cannot put the stamp of approval on it, but 599 euros, that sounds lovely. Appreciate you. It's good stuff.
Del Toro. We did this one legitimately 30 minutes ago. Same question. Top plays on FanDuel. We're looking at, I'm going to go through it pretty quick because we've already hit this one. It's Jalen Brunson at the point guard spot. Devin Booker is going to be the top dude at the shooting guard spot. Kawhi Leonard is going to be your top dude at small forward. Jake LaRavia is going to be in that mix as well. They both have small forward, power forward eligibility. Karl Anthony Towns, quite popular at the power forward spot. Can use him at center if you want, but the other main center is looking like Mark Williams. We also have guys like Jordan Goodwin, Steph Castle, Luke Kennard, all pulling pretty sizable ownership. Rui Hachimura as well. I think we got through that one.
Can we talk a little bit about the relationship between Lakers, like playing Lakers starters with Spurs starters, and I am so inclined to play like Wemby, Castle plus like Rui, because there's so many ways where if Rui, LaRavia, if everything goes completely to shit and we get to that type of a game script, you're still probably getting something nuclear out of Victor Wembanyama. You're probably still getting something usable from somebody else in the Spurs. I don't know who, but like, I really like the idea if I'm going to play like one lineup here as I'm getting closer to figuring it out. The main reason I don't want to utilize Micah Potter power forward early is because I want to be able to see what the Lakers starting unit is. I want to see if, it ends up being Hayes or Ayton. I want to be able to like build some stuff out where if I use any spot early on power forward and utilize that to burn it, it's going to involve Alperen Şengün or nothing. Like, I don't really want to go the Micah Potter route because if a competitive game happens, I like the idea of like playing Castle or Fox along with Wemby and just like having that game somehow, some way stay closer than what everybody is projecting or like that I want because it's -7.5. So curious if you're making any of those kind of thought because I think this game specifically, you can probably utilize it on a 4-game slate more than you can other slates.
Potter or Buffkin for single entry? I just want to hit this because we have this super chat here. We actually have a few more, but
let's do the super chats. Go.
Yeah, that's fine. I will circle back to that.
Okay.
It's got to be Buffkin, I think, but it's mostly because of when that game is.
Yes, exactly. That's the reason that I would be Buffkin. It's so hard for me to just say Potter when we know that he's starting and I have no idea what to make of Buffkin, who we don't assume starts anyway and could just play very, very limited minutes.
All right. Next one up, Goody wants to know any love for Alvarado, newly minted New York Knick, about 18% owned at this moment. I can say for me personally, I have a little bit north of the field. He's in about 25% of my lineups. I don't have any problems with him at 3,500. I assume they're going to like him and he's going to get some run.
Yeah, I got close to playing him early. I did not end up playing him early. Point guard's not that good outside of Brunson, outside of the aforementioned pieces where everybody's going to play Flag or Brunson basically, or some combination of a spend up plus whatever. But like, yeah, Buffkin is still so uncomfortable, and yet he's just such a good play if he, just continues to sit there, and we'll see what the starting lineup is for the Lakers.
And then one more here. Single lineup. Would you have both Buffkin and Quentin Jackson? Yeah, no reason not to.
No problem. Yeah, completely.
They don't have any tie to each other at the very least.
Zero correlation. Yeah, it's just don't burn your guard spot. Make sure they're in the shooting guard spot for Quentin Jackson or point guard, that is.
Have you seen anything interesting? Did you make any major tweaks? Anything that you weren't expecting to make changes to? Anything crazy that you're seeing?
Yeah, it's just a weird day for me because normally I'm always playing at least like the 40 lineups. But with one lineup today, because there's 14 NBA games tomorrow, a lot of work to be done tonight. I don't think I can play anything else outside of Jackson early. I ended up skipping on Potter purely because of what power forward could be. Like, let's say Drew Timmy's starting out of the middle of nowhere or something. Like, this becomes a full punt game. Drew Timmy would be like 100% play for me, like lock and load type dude at 3K flat, great fantasy performer, power forward eligibility. So like, there's just so many ways where there's like a path to a nuclear piece at low ownership, especially in like one lineup where I'm happy to kind of embrace whatever happens later and moving my lineup spots around. So yeah, Micah Potter, I will not be his fan today, but I promise you if I were playing more lineups, he'd look pretty darn good. One thing, Kobe Buffkin just remains the guy that we just assume is going to be eating up 21, 22 minutes. Keep in mind that Nick Smith Jr. exists. Keep in mind, I don't think it's the most likely because he hasn't played more than 20 minutes in a game all season, but Bronny James, like there's just so many different iterations of what can happen later that I want to be able to tweak around with. And yeah, the only guy that I'm really thinking about for the Houston game whatsoever right now that isn't named Kawhi Leonard, of course, my nuke, but I look at Alperen Şengün. I have no idea whether or not I want to click on him or not, but I'll decide that in the next half hour.
I think I'm happy with my exposures right now, and I'm going to lock these up with 2.5 minutes to spare. Buffkin and Booker or Eason and Rui? It's got to be Buffkin and Booker.
Yeah, Buffkin Booker. Booker was the guy whose name I was looking for when I was listing off the chalky point guard options. I said Cooper Flag. I know that he's not. We're looking at Brunson and Booker dominating the position on both sites for what it's worth. It's like 50-50 over on FanDuel, like 30-20 or what is it, 40-30 right now. Brunson and Booker on DK. Booker's somewhat in play for me, but haven't decided yet.
So Kawhi, most exposed guy for me right now. So you and I are on the same page there. I've got 60% of Wemby as well. So I am also right there with your nuke. Ton of Kobe Buffkin, ton of LaRavia, ton of Rui. You know, what that ends up being by the time we get to lock could be anything. I would imagine at the very least LaRavia and Rui aren't really going anywhere. Pretty decent stand on Devin Booker. As another pay up option.
Just took another jump up over on DK. We've got him at 55% optimal. Man, whenever Mitchell Robinson's out, this guy just goes completely nuclear and looks ridiculous. Yeah. This is really, really tilting. I mean, I might have to go to Cat last second.
If it helps, I manually capped him.
Okay. Oh boy.
I wanted to get a little bit more of Siakam in that same sort of range.
Yeah, I love that. I love Siakam today, and I can't play him. I just can't lock it up early.
Sure.
He's an awesome large field play. I love Pascal Siakam.
Let's see. Guys I'm most under the field on. Dylan Brooks, Mark Williams, Towns, I guess, technically. Josh Hart. Big stands. Kawhi, Buffkin, Wemby, Vandy, Hachimura, Quentin Jackson, nuke of the night. In 38% of my lineups right now. I love it. You guys could have dropped some bets on Quentin Jackson by making some tweaks to the rates for him in the prop tool if they're there. Fire off some bets if you wanted to, or whatever you wanted to drop some bets on. You're going to be able to do that for a decent chunk of time with Greg Ehrenberg coming up next on Live After Lock. Anything you want to add before you and I get out of here? I'm excited for this little 4-gamer. It's gross, but it's fun in the same way.
It's going to be a fun slate. I kind of like when you get the absolute randos that we don't know what's going to show up later on. Always gives you that extra edge knowing that on a 4-gamer, there's a ton of ownership coming into some guys that are very, very volatile. I also love that. So you guys want to listen to what Greg has. I'm actually going to be listening to Greg right after this as I'm working through tomorrow's slate, but pay attention. Oh, we got a last second super chat here. Brunson and Alvarado or Booker LaRavia. Booker LaRavia.
Booker and LaRavia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Hopefully you're able to adjust to that here. Thank you so much, guys. And Greg Ehrenberg coming up right now.
Right now. There he is. Hey-o.
Fellas,
My dude.
surprise of the night, as Stephen Leibowitz pointed out in chat. Eric not knowing what docking was. I call bullshit on that. I would bet almost anything he's got a folder on his computer.
You got
Well, he assumed the dock was a mouth, where that wasn't really what the terminology means. Not that there's any judgment. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Leave studio. There we go.
Also, Eric, I don't know if you realized you told people to. Oh, he left. He told people to look up Patrick Stewart's foreskin. He's like, no, the story's real. Go Google it. It's just trying to get people to Google Patrick Stewart's foreskin.
I did not Google it yet, but I'm going to do it soon enough. I just got to get out of here right now. So time to get on the old foreskin Google. Good luck, Greg.
All right.
I'm going to do that on the work computer.
Josh, good night. Good luck with your lineups. And now it is time for us to place some bets and then also react to any kind of news here. So one of the oddest things of this entire slate to me, why is DeAndre Ayton questionable? Everybody else is out for the Lakers. Is he going to play a full allotment of minutes? Is he going to play limited minutes? Is he not going to play at all? It would just seem silly. Like, it seems like they're punting this game. Not that DeAndre Ayton's some massively important piece of the Lakers, and maybe they just view it as, hey, we don't give a shit about this guy. He kind of sucks. We'll just have him play anyway. It just does seem odd to me that pretty much all of the other starters that play significant minutes for the Lakers are out today, and DeAndre Ayton is questionable. So we'll see if we get that news in the upcoming time on DeAndre Ayton. We've also got Klay Thompson, who is considered questionable to play due to rest purposes, which normally wouldn't matter, but for a 4-game slate, that is certainly something that could open up a little bit of additional value here. And yeah, I forgot about that. Dirt McGirt, icy roads, Ayton staying home. We did have the game where DeAndre Ayton just couldn't make it to the stadium because the roads were icy. I forgot about that until now. So that's a good callback. See if there was any other questions or anything in here. We did just get the Clippers starting lineup, which is Dunn, Derek Jones Jr., Kawhi Leonard, John Collins, and Brook Lopez. Hopefully, any kind of weird starting lineups that we get today don't include a player who is going to be, potentially fouling out in 15 minutes like Khalil Ware yesterday. How annoying was that? Because Ware had a very good points per minute fantasy game. He played, 15 minutes and had 17, 18 fantasy points, but he just fouled out immediately. I felt like every time I left to go do something and came back, it would be like 2 more fouls for Khalil Ware when I checked the box score. Let's see. We had, for reference for you guys, so that's starting lineup once again for the Clippers, which includes Derek Jones Jr. starting. We were already projecting him to start. That's why I pulled this up on the data hub here. We're there, Derek Jones Jr. projected in the starting lineup, 26 fantasy points, 0.71 fantasy points per minute. So a projection here of 18.22 fantasy points. So is Derek Jones Jr. starting? Yes, but he's still kind of a middling play. Did I have him in any lineups for today? Let's see. Yeah, I don't have any Derek Jones Jr. lineups. And yeah, we've got him with a 3% optimal rate with 3% ownership. So if you had him in a lineup or two, fine, but I'm not playing him today, and not even not somebody who projects all that well or changes that news because we already had it as a situation there. Yeah, and then the other thing also, Zev saying Ware wasn't even a big fouling center even when he started. Yeah, it was just a weird. He was just fouling dudes instantly. It was a very, very odd game. It was annoying. Yeah, Tizzle I figured Spo just sat him. No, and he played well from a fantasy perspective when he was on the court, but they couldn't stop fouling for whatever reason. Couldn't stop fouling. So while we're waiting to potentially get any of the injury news here, it's only a 4-game slate. Let's go ahead and start building out some boosts. So we have 4 today on DraftKings. We started on FanDuel yesterday. We'll start on DraftKings today. We do have King of the Court. I don't know if you guys built out King of the Court play. Built out. You just select somebody. But is kind of worth looking at some of our PRA projections just to see some of the top guys that we have projected well from a PRA perspective. Also a little bit annoying. Is DraftKings so inflexible that they couldn't just move King of the Court to tomorrow? We have to do it on almost every team plays tomorrow. We could have just done it tomorrow. Instead, we're doing it on the 4-game slate because it's normally on Tuesdays. whatever. It's what we've got. But here's what we got for top PRA projections. You've got Kawhi Leonard, Brunson, Wemby, Cat, Devin Booker, Şengün. One thing that is good for today, Luka sitting. Usually Luka is playing every Tuesday. Lakers still do play today, and he's projected for like 15 more PRA than everybody else. So you do have a lot of potential players to be choosing from. Just based on which of the guys towards the top here have the best PRA projections that I think the field will be lightest on, probably one of the Knicks guys in Karl-Anthony Towns or Jalen Brunson. I'd go with Brunson just because he projects a little bit better, but just because of some of like the name value and what people generally expect out of these players, I would anticipate Kawhi Leonard and Victor Wembanyama and Cooper Flagg to a lesser extent as well to be the most popular king of the court guys for today. So if you haven't played your king of the court bet yet, that's where I would go. I'd go to either Brunson or Towns with a lean towards Brunson. But now also, as far as the other boosts go, we've got Flagg or Booker for more points, and we get a boost. Let's see. So we've got Booker projected for 25, Flagg for 22.5. Oh, and it's basically a pick 'em on DraftKings. So that's going to be pretty easy for me based on our projections. If this is going to be about a pick 'em, I'll just go to Devin Booker over Cooper Flagg to use this boost. And that one is just the 25% scoring boost. So I think that's a pretty easy boost to fill out based on our projections. And then we'll go over to the Stokastic props tool, and we've got the same normal boost in here from DraftKings, the 4-leg 30% SGP boost. So let's see if we get it on today. Yesterday's swing and a miss, which will happen when we're placing, like 14-1 parlays. But as we said yesterday, the goal, one per week. If we get it one per week, don't be sitting good. Let's see what projects well. And we'll start just with DraftKings. We'll build one out for FanDuel as well. All right, let's just select DraftKings. And also, if you guys have any questions about late swap or anything like that as we go, certainly hit me up either in the chat or in Discord about that. And I'm pulling Discord up on my phone right now. We got a question from DK801. He wants to know any big ownership for me in the first game on the slate. So the first game, which just locked, it is Pacers-Knicks. Let's see. Who did I have the most exposure to there? I have Cat in 58% of lineups. I have Brunson in 49% of lineups. Quentin Jackson I have in 35% of lineups. I like him as not like a low-owned piece, but someone who I view as being under-owned relative to what his upside is on a small slate. Let's see, do I have anybody else? That's it for guys that I have in over 25% of lineups for the first game. Quentin Jackson, Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns. Those guys. I see somebody in chat asked about Marvin Bagley. I did not play Marvin Bagley today. And no other questions. So let's start building out our DraftKings SGP boost. And I want to focus a little bit on that late Lakers game where it's the last game on the slate and there is a ton of weirdness. Caleb, can I do a pick for the early win total? I don't have that, so I don't know what it is. Can you tell me what it is? I could definitely look into something for you. I don't have the only boost I have for NBA today is the I think it's a 25% SGP boost over on FanDuel. So just let me know what the early win token is, and then I'll give you what I can for it. But let's look at the Lakers and Spurs game, and a little bit of uncertainty here with DeAndre Ayton being listed as questionable. So that might have me leaning towards some overs on rebound props if they do happen to pop up for guys on the Lakers side of the game. I'd probably stay away as of right now on some of the unders on rebound props. One other thing that we could do that's pretty fun is we could build an SGP around a blowout game script. So we could do something where we just kind of fade some of the starters in this game and go like, hey, maybe the Spurs just beat the absolute brakes off of the Lakers, who are sitting Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and LeBron James. That's something if you guys have followed my SGPs throughout the entire year for a lot of the OKC games against bad teams. I love doing SGPs around the starters for the OKC guys in games where they're favored by like 17, 18 points. And you get some of these scenarios where just none of the guys play in the fourth quarter, and then it wins kind of sweat-free. I think we could play that kind of angle for the Spurs-Lakers game, which if we did, let's see. Probably wouldn't want to play unders on Bronny. Overs on Bronny, if anything, would look good for a blowout game script. So I'd probably be avoiding that. And then same with any of the unders for like a Dylan Harper, because he's also somebody who would potentially benefit from a game script. But for sure, Wemby, who I have projected for 2.3 assists. The line is 2.5 and plus money on the under. I like that. Already looks fine as is in a blowout sort of situation. You'd be getting less minutes out of Wemby. We got him projected for 29. And what are we getting? Like 25 minutes or something like that out of Wemby in a lopsided game? Let's see. What else from this game? You know what? Is Jake LaRavia somebody who is like too important for the Lakers to play in a potential blowout game script? 3.5 assist line. We got him projected for 3. 30 minutes for LaRavia. I don't think the assist prop on LaRavia would be massively impacted by DeAndre Ayton either. I think he's another one who would work well in a blowout game script, the under on Jake LaRavia. I'll avoid the Maxi Kleba bet towards the top of the board just because that's one that could potentially benefit from that situation if Ayton is out. Let's see, Wemby rebounds. Wemby rebounds also works in here for the same as the assists, and obviously really strong correlation as well. We need one more leg. One more leg. Won't let us take the Wemby, but it would be sick if we could do under rebounds for Wemby, under assists for Wemby, and then also under rebounds and assists. But books are a little bit too sharp for that. We could go to Luke Kennard. I don't know that Luke Kennard is somebody who would play in garbage time for the Lakers. We'll put that in the maybe pile. We've got Vassell under rebounds, assists. Here's an interesting one that I think works for a potential blowout game script and then also works if DeAndre Ayton gets ruled out. Jared Vanderbilt for over 5.5 rebounds. Yeah, we've got him projected for 6.7. If Ayton doesn't play today, wouldn't be shocked if Vanderbilt ends up being projected for over 7 rebounds. And then, I mean, like, Jared Vanderbilt barely plays for the Lakers this year relative to some other years. So I don't think Vanderbilt is somebody who like has to come off the court in garbage time or anything like that. Jared Vanderbilt has played over 20 minutes in one game since January 22nd. So not too concerned about a blowout game script for him. So let's go with this. Victor Wembanyama under 2.5 assists. Jake LaRavia under 3.5 assists. Wemby under 11.5 rebounds, and then Vanderbilt over 5.5 rebounds. And the idea here, blowout game script. Zev, what's my over-under on Ayton playing? Take into account the icy roads. So I think you mean, what is the percentage? Because the over-under would just be 0.5 games played. My lean is that he sits. If he's not totally 100%, just what's the point of playing him today? So I think the most likely scenario is he sits. It's not with a massive amount of confidence, because if they were planning on sitting, like, why not rule him out already at this point? But yeah, I'll say he sits. Caleb, for the early win token, you just need to pick a team that you think will be up 10 plus points at some point in the game. They don't need to win the game either. So for this, you just pick a team that you think is going to win the game. And, presumably if they're going to be up 10 points, they're more likely to win than not. Is it a money line bet? Is it for a spread bet? Also, all of the games are somewhat lopsided today. Knicks game has already started. Knicks 11-point favorites. Rockets 9-point favorites. Suns 8.5-point favorites. Spurs 13-point favorites. So if I'm gonna pick one that I think wins by or goes up by 10 plus at any point today, I'm gonna go with the Spurs. And yeah, well, I'll absolutely Anthony post the details. Absolutely. Is Vanderbilt not showing up in the SGP over on DraftKings? I'm pulling it up right now. We'll see. He's there. He's there. I am placing it right now. Go to the player rebounds, and you'll see Vanderbilt with the 6+ as well as the 7+. Just trying to think the right way to explain it. Just like scroll to the left, and you'll see the 6+ rebound that we have right here at minus 145. So like the same equivalent of over 5.5. But yeah, Disco Stupendous has it here in the chat. Yeah, don't look at the over-under. Go to the player boards. Go to rebounds. It'll be the first thing you see on the top. It is weird that they list different people in different spots, but that's what we got here. All right, Jake LaRavia under 3.5 assists. And then we also had Wemby for under 2.5 assists. Klay Thompson out. All right. So after I post this bet to Tails, we'll probably be getting a projections update in like 5 minutes or so. And then we'll go look at that. All right, LaRavia under 3.5 assists. And then we had Wemby under 2.5 assists. With the boost, that gets us to plus 1,300. Okay. And all right, let me bet $10 on it. And that is going to Tails right now. If you guys want to know how to get to Tails, I know a lot of you, this is old hat for almost all of you. Oh, Rich, I didn't even realize. My bad. We already had Klay out in our projections. Cool. Rich, well ahead of the curve. I didn't even realize that we already had him out. So Klay already out. But either way, after I post this to Tails, we'll go look at the Dallas projections and just show you guys what it's looking like with Klay out. Thanks for the note there, Rich. All right. Going up on Tails. Oh, anyway, I was going to say, if you guys do want to know how to get to Tails, and the reason I bring this up, we've had like usually one person per show, at least we'll say in chat, what is Tails? How do I find it? Either go to tails.bet in your search bar or just download the Tails app. There's a link down below in the YouTube description box. If you're in the Google Play Store or the Apple, the App Store, just search for Tails. And you'll find it there. Totally free. All the bets that I post are free there as well. So that's a way for you guys to be able to get access to some of the stuff that I either post for free over there or just make it easy to tail the bets that we build out here together on the show. Okay. DraftKings SGP boost from the live show. I'll give people a little bit of context who aren't watching right now to let them know that we are playing for a blowout game script. And that is posted. All right. So we've got the FanDuel boost to build out next. But also wanted to show you guys some of the Dallas projections. And like Rich said, this was already taken into account for in our projections. So it's not something that's going to move anything around, but just because it's news, I'll give it to you guys. All right, so Dallas. Here's what we got as far as the top points per dollar plays go on the Mavericks, and it's basically nobody. Cooper Flag is a fine pay-up option for a small slate, but we don't have anybody who's projecting particularly well for cheap, even with Klay out. And for my own ownership, what do I have from this game, from the Dallas side of this game? I've got Flag in 30% of lineups. That's right in line with the field, marginally overweight, projected for 28% ownership now. What else? I've got, that might be it. I've got 2% of Najee Marshall, 2% of Brandon Williams. The only player I have anything of significance from for Dallas, it's Cooper Flag. And that is it. Ooh, Lauri Markkanen available to play tomorrow. I wonder if the NBA got in the ear of the Utah Jazz based on some of the recent practices. Because the Utah Jazz have been not holding guys. Well, sometimes they rest guys like Lauri Markkanen. But what they have been doing is competitive game starters all come off the court. I don't know what the NBA could do to police that, but I do think it's interesting that it's been a social media story, what the Jazz have been doing with holding guys out in the fourth quarter. And now all of a sudden, that story comes out today. Lauri Markkanen, who was ruled out for tomorrow earlier in the day, is now available to play tomorrow. Jason, shout out to Richie, staying on top of the news. Always staying on top of the news. Here's what I would like to see the NBA do, by the way. And they'll build out our FanDuel SGP. Could be a little bit of a shorter show today because once we get to the 8 p.m. lock, we're probably not going to get the Eaton news. And then we'll have built out the lineups already. Here's what I would like to see the NBA do. Because what's the problem we're trying to solve for? We're trying to make it so that teams are, even shitty teams, are incentivized to win at the end of the season, and then they don't want to tank anymore. I think that it's a better incentive to give teams a reason to win as opposed to give them a reason to not tank. So, like people suggest, just fine teams more heavily. Sure, you could do that, but I don't know that that necessarily creates better basketball. You just get teams kind of begrudgingly playing guys who they would otherwise want to be holding out. Make a bracket. While the NBA playoffs are going on, also do a pick for the number, do a tournament for the number one pick, and the teams are seeded based on best record for teams that miss the playoffs. So if you miss the playoffs by one game and you have the best record of all the teams that miss the playoffs, you're the number one seed for the pick for the tournament to get the number one pick. And then if you're a team that just dog shit and you had the worst record in the NBA, you're the last seed and you have to play on the road. And then you play it like the NCAA tournament, single game elimination. Then teams are incentivized to win throughout every single game matters. If you lose a game in the second week of the season, it could impact your seeding to get the top pick at the end of the year. Cav. The teams want the pick, but the players don't give a fuck about the draft pick. So here's the misconception, or where there's the hole in your logic here. The players are resting now for the draft pick. So if the players are already resting now for the draft pick, wouldn't it stand to reason that they would now not rest for the draft pick? Because if the players don't care about the draft picks, then, I mean, I know it's not totally in their control. These are teams' decisions, but the players aren't playing right now for the draft pick. So there's some sort of considerations there. I think it would be fun. And also, I do think the players would care about the draft pick. Think of it this way. Imagine that you are the Wizards and you have the chance to play for Wemby next year if Wemby was in the draft. I do think players would care about that. You're telling me players don't want to try to win a tournament so that Wemby could be on their team next year? I don't know. I think players, I do think players would care more than you think about that. Obviously, in a weaker draft, it would be a little bit less exciting. But you get a generational player, that tournament would be awesome. I stand by it. All right, let's build out our FanDuel boost now. Build out our FanDuel boost, and then we'll call it a night, and I'll go eat my dinner. Ben Willie, that's good. How do you get the players to care? Like, why are you under the assumption that right now the Utah Jazz, Lauri Markkanen, Keontae George, Yusuf Nurkic, who doesn't play in games that he's not starting, like, why do you think they're incentivized now? I think this is more incentive for players in the current situation. Right now, the teams are incentivized to sit players. They're no longer incentivized to sit players in that structure. Clinton, you're wrong. The Jazz have a good team now. The Jazz have a good team. Keontae George, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr. I think that's and then presumably a high draft pick next year. That's going to be a playoff team next season. Drake, players are not trying to play extra games. It's not that many extra games. If there are, how many teams miss the playoffs? You get, I mean, you're talking about 2 or 3 extra games at the end of the season. You know, like there would be, potentially buys for spots as well. It would be very minimal extra games. The players already agreed to extra games for the in-season tournament. I think it'd be fun. I know I posted this on Twitter last year and people thought it was the worst idea ever. I think people have come around to it a little bit more just because of how this season has gone, where it's gotten like really egregious with how players' injuries are being managed and how teams are trying to lose games. So I think people are a little bit more open to it. But yeah, it was not well received when I posted about it last year. And yeah, they could also do some sort of money incentive for it as well. People bring that up in the chat. That's exactly what they did with the in-season tournament, and players really care about the in-season tournament. All right, let's see what we have for the FanDuel side of things for tonight. We already built out the blowout game script for Lakers and Spurs, so I don't want to do the exact same thing twice. Let's see what projects well for Dallas Phoenix, and if we could build something here. All right. Are the rebounds plus assists in the same game parlay possibilities on FanDuel? Let me check. I don't even know if I don't know if they allow them or not. Some of the like added stats markets aren't included in those for whatever reason. Okay, so if we go to player combos, rebounds plus assists, they are allowed. Cool. That works. That does work. All right. So also let me refresh this really quick just to make sure we've got the most recent projections and the most recent lines in here. And then we'll go over to the top bets. So we've got, here's something that does stand out to me. I had this in my video also that I posted to Twitter earlier today, but Jalen Green is playing today, and I don't think he's going to play very much. We've only got him projected for 17 minutes. And the video I'm referencing is every day. If you guys haven't seen, I go through the props tool and I do my favorite bet from every single game, go over the injury reports, and find what I like from the Stokastic props tool. Jalen Green has not played over 20 minutes in a game since the opening game of the season, since the first game he played in this season, which was way back when. Yeah. November 6th, Jalen Green played 23 minutes. That's the only time the entire year he's played over 20 minutes. I do not think we're getting a very big workload out of Jalen Green today. Under 4.5 rebounds plus assists. And then also, I think this is going to cut into Dillon Brooks. You've also got Devin Booker playing for the Suns today. We haven't seen the Suns have a fully healthy team kind of at all this season. So I think that both of these do make sense. Dillon Brooks, he's going to be negatively impacted by Jalen Green playing and Booker playing. Jalen Green, he's going to be negatively impacted by, he played 16 and a half minutes his first game back and hasn't played over 20 minutes at all over the entire course of the season since the first game. So I like unders on both of those guys. Let's see what else we can mine out here. Well, I think this also makes sense. It's another really plus EV bet. Max Christie, we went over before. No Klay Thompson today. That should mean a few extra minutes for Max Christie. Maybe some more opportunities here. Let's add in Max Christie. McNick. I think players get paid if they play, and if they don't or they get injured, they get 50%. There's no way the players' union is going to agree to that. The contracts are also, they're guaranteed contracts. Like, what are you going to do? Jason Tatum tears his Achilles, and it's like, hey, man, shit out of luck, not getting paid next year. Why would the players' union agree to that? So any solution you have, everybody has to agree to it. Just something to keep in mind. But let's load this in. All right, so we built out the SGP. I'll place it on my phone, and then I'll post the details. We've got Dillon Brooks under 5.5 RA. We've got Jalen Green under 4.5 RA. And then we've got Max Christie for over 3.5 rebounds. And looks like they're all here still. Plus 130. Yep, same odds. Comes out to plus 971 with the boost. All right. Which one of these do you guys like more today? Do we win the FanDuel one more likely? Do we win the DraftKings one? I guess by default, we're more likely to win the FanDuel one because FanDuel, we only have to build out a 3-leg same game parlay. In DraftKings, we have to build out the 4-leg. I kind of still feel like the DraftKings one is more likely to win, though, just from the blowout standpoint. But posting this details right now, and then we'll wrap up. Disco Stew, how does this solve in-season tanking? It's February. The Jazz aren't even mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, and we see what they're doing. Here's how it solves tanking. because every single regular season game matters. By the way, if you guys see me looking down, I'm just posting the bet that we just built out to Tails. So the reason the Jazz are currently trying to lose games is because for the Jazz need to have a pick. I think I'm just going off the top of my head. I think it's like the Jazz need a top 6 or a top 8 pick, or else they lose their first round pick this year. So the reason the Jazz are trying to lose games is because they're trying to build a future contender. And as of right now, if they win too many games, they're not going to, in all likelihood, make the playoffs. That's not really a likely scenario, but they can cost themselves their first round pick. So from their standpoint, they are much more incentivized to lose than to win right now. They're not going to win a title. They're not going to get into the playoffs, but they can keep their first round pick in a loaded draft this year, which gives them a better chance for next year. So the problem is the incentive structure right now. It incentivizes teams to try to lose. And that's what you need to try to break, is you need to try to make it so that teams are incentivized to win, in my opinion. And that's why I don't like the solution of just finding teams more heavily, cutting players' pay, because you're not actually incentivizing them to win. You're just incentivizing them to show up to games then. And I don't think that makes better basketball. All right. FanDuel boost bet. It is posted to Tails. Disco Stew. So they make sure they don't get into the playoffs, and then they tank the bracket tourney. So I don't think it. I could be wrong. I don't think though that teams are all of a sudden going to say, let's intentionally lose to not make the playoffs. I don't think teams are going to try to miss the playoffs. Yeah, Steven Lewis. Jazz pick is top 8 protected. Yeah, so the Jazz need to make sure they get a top 8 pick. Yeah, Rich saying, get rid of the draft and just make players entering the NBA free agents. Scale the amount a team can offer new players from NBA champion all the way. I don't hate that either. Yeah, I don't hate that suggestion. Maybe also like there's something there. That's another possible solution. Yeah, Mario, get rid of the draft. All incoming players are free to sign to the highest bidder. So highest bidder, here's the one issue that you could possibly have is what happens if somebody's just like, hey, I care about winning. I'm the number 1 pick in the draft. I just want to go to the Thunder right now. Like, how much does it fuck up the competitive just structure of the league if somebody comes out of the draft, if somebody comes out of college and just like, I'm signing with the Thunder? Is that okay? Because it kind of feels like that's inevitably going to happen at some point. That's probably like my biggest thing is like, what are the guardrails to prevent that from happening? Yeah. It could ruin competitive balance. Maybe also it's a situation where it's like the players get ranked coming out of college and maybe playoff teams like aren't eligible to sign certain players. I don't know. Like, I do think there's something there to Rich's idea. You just have to have some sort of guardrails to prevent like the top 2 prospects in the draft just being like, let's go sign with the Thunder and build a dynasty. Well, anyway, guys, thank you all very much for watching. Smaller slate today. It was only 4 games. We got a big one for tomorrow. Big slate tomorrow. I think it's going to be a big late swap show. Should be fun. I didn't look to see if there are big contests tomorrow. I kind of assume there are. But yeah, 14 games. How many of them are on the main slate? We have 13 games on the main slate tomorrow. There's a Millie Maker on DraftKings. All right. Yeah, tomorrow will be good. Tomorrow will be good. Aaron. Yeah. I built the FanDuel SGP. It's right here on screen. It's on screen, and I also posted it to Tails. It's Dylan Brooks under 5.5 rebounds plus assists. Jalen Green under 4.5 rebounds plus assists. And Max Christie over 3.5 rebounds. All 3 legs are plus money. So only a 3-leg parlay, but we were getting, slightly better odds than we normally would. With the boost, it was like 9-1. I think plus 946. Well, anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. See you tomorrow. Going to be a big slate. I'm looking forward to it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and good luck with your lineups. Later, guys.